Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Just putting my name in here just in case I forget who I am. There we go. All right. Well, welcome. Oh, and hey, Marcus. Good to see you. So welcome to our discussion about our new lab, and we're just really great to see you here and share some more with you about what's happening for the Institute and what's happening in the lab. I'm sort of joined here today by Emily Ray, who's on our team now, and Karen Weatherford, who's one of our event hosts and is going to join us a little bit to help out with today, and as well as kind of going forward to carry the spirit of what were our Pivotal Moments session. So the purpose of today is just to share a bit about what the labs are and where they came from, where they're going, to see how they would be a fit for you and wherever you are on your journey with this work. So just as a way to check in, just want to see how everybody's doing today and kind of what brought you to this conversation. I'm going to change the view so I can see everybody. There you are. So who'd like to share?
Curiosity.
I have to find the voice in the word. Who said that?
I did.
Oh, there you go, Anne-Marie. Gotta find you. I didn't have to scan to find the. And what were you curious about?
Well, I've been following the work that you've been doing, and I saw the Threshold Lab as an idea. I'm just curious. I don't know anything about it, but okay, curiosity. That's it.
Excellent.
The universe spoke.
Okay. How about for others?
I'm the same, David.
Yeah.
I think curiosity about where we as coaches can lead our clients more effectively and how we can improve our own well-being and our approach to coaching. So again, it's curiosity.
Okay. Oh, and we even have Miss Watts with us today. Thank you, Erlen. Yeah, Sally.
I'm just back from holidays, so I'm feeling great. So I feel very open and interested, and yeah, and curious. And I love any work that you do through narrative coaching. So that's what I'm here.
Okay. Anyone else want to check in?
Sorry, I was unable to. Zoom was doing some weird things and made me jump through a few hoops, so I missed the question.
So I was curious about what brought you here today.
Oh, reconnecting with you and your work.
There you go. That's good enough.
I'll say connecting / reconnecting, because I knew it would be a different group of faces than any particular other moment.
Okay.
Yes, curiosity, as someone said.
Michelle, were you going to speak? Looks like you're forming thoughts.
Yes, forming thoughts. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here because I actually enjoy learning something new every time I come to one of David's sessions, and to meet, to see familiar faces and meet some new people. So that's all I wanted to say. And it's freezing here in Sydney, David, so I'm rugged up.
Okay. And we have Georgiana as well. Wow, and Samir. So for those of you who just joined, we were just asking people to share. Hello, Georgiana. We were asking people to share what brought them here today.
I think Laurel had a hand up.
Okay. There you are, Laurel. I see ya. There you are. She's navigating a computer.
Hmm.
It's a face we've all come to recognize in these times. There's the frantic
Yes.
search for why is my computer not working while I'm on the air and everybody's looking at me. We've all been there.
Yeah, there should be a word for that expression.
There should be. We should make up a word. Yeah. While Laurel's looking, is there anybody else who would like to share before we start?
Yes, hi David. Hi everyone.
Hey, Bronwyn.
I'm here, I think, to make distinctions.
Okay.
Make some distinctions, yeah. So
Okay. Great. Yes. Oh, Laura.
David, Sami here. I'm one of those people struggling with a visual here.
Okay.
So I can only have a picture or a blank screen right now, but I just want to say that I'm here and I'll work on it as we go.
Okay.
I'm here because I have been learning from David for years now, and this community on Circle seems just the right thing. And I think it's just fantastic to bring everything together. Yeah. So I'm curious, what is that about?
Yeah, great. Thank you. And Laurel, did you get yours to work?
I think so. How's this?
Yay.
Okay. So I'm here because I'm excited. Yesterday was the first time, when I listened to the recording of your talk, David, yesterday, and it was like, things were opening up. There's ICF, which is great. And I just had this inkling there was more, and you put it into words in a way I had not heard expressed. So I'm very curious about your work, and that's
great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Oh, yes, there you are. Rita.
Hello, everybody. I missed your talk, David, so I'm curious about the next piece. But with this group, I think no matter who's around, it's just the experience that I get that I love. So I'm after an experience today and some knowing for the future. So thanks.
All right. All right. Well, let me just share a few things. Georgiana, did you want to speak?
Thank you. I was navigating from my phone to get onto the computer.
Okay.
Why I am here is just because I'm very familiar with David's work, and I'm just ready to get a little shot in the arm.
Okay, great. All right. So let me just give you a little bit of context for the lab. And as part of that, this would normally be a pivotal moments session today. In the lab, we're going to be moving both park benches and pivotal moments into this space. So they become one of the features of a larger community to support what both of those events stand for and what they offer. So Karen was a pivotal moments host. Bronwyn was a park benches host. And so we'll continue to explore that. And part all of this emerged. It actually had some seeds in my days living back in Sydney, where some of this began to hatch and became even more relevant in the over the course of the pandemic. So we had been teaching online for a while anyways, and then this just really accelerated that. After 2.5 years of building and teaching these programs, caring a lot, I got to a point in the beginning of the year where it just became clear that I really couldn't carry all that anymore. And there was just a lot happening, and the world was changing faster than we could change our programs, faster than I could keep up. We had some health issues for some of our key team people. So we had to kind of let them go and so they could care for themselves. And so I was largely carrying the business for the last 6 months by myself, with some help from Emily and some help from Joel. Well, that's all changed now. And so Emily's joined the team. Joel's doing great. I'm doing better. And so and as part of that, what emerged from me is that it's probably not a new revelation to myself or to you that I've carried most of my life. And part of my journey, my threshold of this last 6 months has been to put more down and invite others to help more, which was kind of a novel concept for me. And as part of that, I started to realize that when I sat back and thought about what I've loved most about this journey over the last 20 years is the amazing people I've met. That's the greatest joy for me, more than anything I teach. And so we began to sort of accelerate our plans to do what we had intended to all along, which was to build a online learning community. And the second reason why, besides just for my own future with this work, but the second reason why we decided to do that is something that will be familiar to any of you who've been in my programs. The world doesn't really need any more programs, doesn't need any more information. It needs more mature people and more innovations about how we do our work. And so for me, I started to realize that the future of this work, the ability of this work to spread what we offer is not going to come through offering new programs or more programs. It's going to come because we're more deeply connected to each other and because we're courageously reinventing what we do for a living and what our professions do for a living. I'm increasingly convinced that our professions will not be able to catch up to what we're needing to be doing. It's going to come from grassroots. It's going to come from people like us. And the running comment I've said many times is, most people come to these programs for me, but they stay for each other. And so I said, that is our greatest asset. And so the lab sort of is an opportunity for us to create an end-to-end learning community. So it'll be available to visitors and guests, to current students and future students, as well as graduates. And so that people have an opportunity to be with each other, to learn together. Both of our programs will be embedded in this community starting in January on this platform, which we'll show you. And it will be an opportunity for people to teach. It'll be an opportunity for people to offer to each other. And it will be an opportunity for people to create the next generation of this work. And so for me, it's just really a brilliant opportunity to put everything that we've always taught and believed into action for each other. And for me, as some of you know from maybe 2 years ago, I reached sort of a crossroads a couple of years ago where I decided sort of to dedicate the rest of my work life to my daughter and her friends, because what we're building are resources for them and the world that they're going to inherit. And a lot of that has to be, a lot of the institutions, a lot of the systems, professions that many of us grew up in are no longer helpful or successful or what we need to kind of build a different way of being in the world. And so I'm just really excited to be able to create this opportunity. We have a lot of intention around some of the structures and resources we're going to put in place. But what the lab looks like a year from now, I have no idea, nor do I need to know, because it will become what you all decide for it to become and what you need in real time. And so, yeah, I'm just going to stop there for a minute and see if there's any thoughts or questions. And then we'll give you some, I'll turn it over to Emily a bit, and so she can share a few things. And then we'll break you into some small groups so we can talk to each other. But for now, I just want to see any reflections or reactions or thoughts, questions you might have while we're all here together. Yeah.
I
Hillary.
I had like an inner and outer smile, David. I like one of the particular things you just said about activating what we've learned in our different lenses of ID work. And it just got me thinking, like I have this just visual, like by creating the lab, there's so many more sort of neurons firing and connecting every time differently than a session where we're learning more, or that's primarily one-to-many, or that it's the same many, but it's the same group. Anyway, I just sort of had this little happy vision of the fireworks of activating everything that all our different ways of absorbing and applying ID. It's
well, and
hopeful, very hopeful.
yeah, good. And to be out in the front is not always easy, and many of us are pioneering things in our own spaces, even if in our own life. And sometimes just having kindred spirits is enormously helpful. And we each bring our different strengths to these kind of questions. So it's a way to kind of scaffold some of the areas where we might not be as strong and learn from others and offer what we offer to them. So, in my fantasy or my dream, if 5 years from now we had 1,000 things in the world that weren't there before that says on their front page, this was created in a lab at the Moment Institute, that would make me really happy. Carolyn, you had your hand up. You still have your hand up.
Sorry, I did have my hand up. So I am just impressed with what you have said, and just wanted to say that I'm currently already following what the next generation is doing. My son, and he's involved already in several global communities. And so what you're doing is right on the cusp that is, in the terms of French philosophy, always already there. And it's just it's very exciting to be here and to hear that your plans not plans are exactly the same as what youngsters are already out there doing, making the new world, making the better world. So thanks.
Great. And so maybe we can get your son in to teach one of our sessions. Yeah, that's the whole plan. Sally.
I put up my hand because of you mentioned your daughter, and I use the words open and curious about coming here, and I'm in an open and curious place because of some deep conversations I recently had with people from Europe, talking about the young people and talking about the stress that the young people are under in Europe, and of course here in Australia too, and the high incidence of depression and the lack of a plan and the lack of hope. And so we've been having really quite deep dialogues about what is it that we have to offer the young people. So I don't have an answer yet. He's a filmmaker, and he's going to be making films and getting it into schools and wherever he can. So I'm sitting here with curiosity. Like we coach executives, we coach older people, and I coach my sons. They hate it. But sometimes they ask to be coached. So yeah, I'm sitting here. It's a big question for all of us, I think, the next generation.
And what we have in common with them, Sally, is, I'm old enough to have grown up in a generation in the US, particularly in California, that I now appreciate was this extraordinarily rare bubble that was not there before and is not there now. And there was a time filled with extraordinary optimism and innovation, and so now it's like, most of the places that any of us turn are not the same as they were in this pandemic and this time we're moving through, and there's both extraordinary opportunities but also extraordinary challenges. And so for me, and this is where, again, part of why I created what I did is because coaching has an implicit optimistic bias that it's always to create a goal, move forward, do more, do greater. And that's not really working. And so how do we serve people when so much is unknown? I think it's exciting. I think the young people are both more traumatized by it, but also more engaged in doing new things. And I think there's some really interesting cross-generational opportunities in all this that can be really helpful to all of us.
I think there's a real opportunity for young people to come back to the body, and experience it more in the body. And that's what I think today, anyway. I think that's one of the opportunities that we have, is to teach them how to do that.
Yeah. All right. So, so the lab will be set up sort of as as we're doing a pilot of the lab for 6 months. The rest of this month is free, just to give people a chance to come to the open house and check it out and learn more. And then there's opportunities on the website to begin to sign up to sort of join that. And then there'll be, Emily can show you a slide a little bit about all the things that come into the lab. It's a way for people to come and check us out for the first time, kind of get a taste of what we do and explore. It's an opportunity for current students to be able to talk to other graduates as they're going through the program, one of the programs, and it's an opportunity for graduates to stay connected to each other, form new groups, form new projects, to deepen their practice, to incubate the creation of something that they want to build themselves. And so it's a common platform, and Emily will show you all of that in detail at the end of the program. But if there's nothing else, I'm going to turn this over to Emily for right now and see where you'd like to take this.
Thanks, David, and thanks everybody for sharing what you did. Part of the opportunity or invitation of the lab is to have a structure in place, which is we're meeting here today, and it's Monday, depending upon where you are in the world, but in the morning or the evening. And it gives us this touch point, which gives us structure and some accountability to be able to come into this space and share what's on our hearts and minds, and to be in conversation with like-minded, like-hearted individuals. And what happens once we all gather here is very much up to the energy, the insight, the inspiration of who's in the room. And once we do these check-ins, then we have the opportunity to say, okay, how might we break out leveraging the breakout room capability or function here in Zoom, so that we can self-organize into these smaller pods to continue deeper conversations for where each of us may need it most, so that the lab becomes somewhat of a way station or an oasis for your week, where you come in and express a need or a desire or have something to give, and then you can be in conversation and in community with people who might be in that same place as you are. And so David, I know that we'll do our circle platform tour towards the end, and we will kind of talk a little bit more about what's included in being a lab member. But in order to have people get a real felt experience for this, let's think about what breakout rooms we might create for today, and have people decide where they'd like to go.
Okay. Yeah, and so with that, the lab Mondays or Tuesdays, for those of you in that part of the world, offer us a continuity. Like every Monday is something that's always going to be people there. And some Mondays you can come, maybe some not. There's also an ongoing web platform as well, which is again asynchronous, so you can go there anytime you want. where there, and Emily will show you everything that's going to be there, but there'll be resources. That's where all the classes will be held that we'll be teaching. We can host special events there as well. There's a forum, there's a way to connect other members. There's a way in time we'll have the members sort of divide up into interests so that you'll be able to say, hey, I just got a new job at a university. I wonder if anybody else is doing this work at a university. You can go in and find that out immediately. And it's a way for people to, and then you might decide, say you find you're working on a project together, 3 or 4 of you on the side, and then you want to come to a Monday and so you want to have a breakout room, say, hey, but I want to hear about this project. You can come join our breakout room, because you'll be able to not only choose your breakout room, but you also can help us create one if you need one, and as one of the choices, and then people can come and listen in on your report on your case study, or maybe go from there. So it's just a way where I know many of you have kept relationships going after programs, but this is a way to sort of solidify that, as well as for people that are new to the programs to be able to connect to you and join up in terms of what you're doing. All right. Anything else for right now? Okay. So I'm thinking in terms of breakout rooms. I'm thinking of a couple of things. And so just for the, what we'll do, just so you know, when we meet on Mondays, there'll be generally 2 hosts for the Monday. So somebody that will help hold that space for you and make sure Zoom works and figure out things that don't work. And so our current Park Benches and Pivotal Moments hosts have been invited to do that. We've got a couple of people who already volunteered to do that. Emily and I will be at many of them as well. So I'm thinking that if we imagine that it's a couple of months from now and you've joined up on the lab and you're sort of cruising along, and just imagine, what is it you would most like to be doing? Like what is that, what need is that serving most for you? I'm going to give you 3 choices in just a minute. And if we think about this in terms of this would have been a normal Pivotal Moments day. So one of the ways you might think about this question is, or what are some of the pivotal moments or choices that you notice yourself facing? And so I'm going to give you 3 choices, which are, one is around connection. So is your desire or your wish, hey, I want to connect to more people like me, or I want to broaden or change my community. And it's the people part that you're most curious about and where the lab might be most helpful to you. 2 is, are you in a place where your curiosity or your choices are around, hey, I'm really appreciative what I've been learning, and or I'm interested in one of the programs. I really want to focus on practice. I want to get better at my practice. So that would be a second choice. So it's connection and practice. And the third option I'm going to give you is, a couple months from now, if you were really feeling totally satisfied with the lab, it was because we helped create a space for you to launch an idea. So to incubate or co-create an idea, or a program, or a vision for something you might do in a field that you care about. So again, they all are interconnected. We all want all of them. But just for today, what one really intrigues you or calls you, and this is the beauty, I'll say to this, in the way that Zoom is set up now, and the way we're organizing all this on Circle, you can be on one of these calls and be in a group for a while and think, I've got enough of that now, thanks. I got what I need, and you can move to a different group. And so if you just want to touch base with a few people and then move to a new group, you can do that. But for now, I'd like to just invite you to start in one of these 3 groups to see what sort of initially comes to mind when you imagine yourself in the lab, in terms of what you would want from relationships, what you'd want in relationship to practice, and how the lab might help you in wherever you are in formulating an idea about something new you want to bring to the world. Does that make sense? All right. And your dog's required, Stephanie. Well done. All right. So what I'm going to do, and if we give them 30 minutes,
Okay.
Emily, and then if you'll just let her, okay, if you'll just let us know when, okay, you join the breakout room. If you look at your toolbar where it says breakout rooms, you should see the list of the 3 rooms, and you can move yourself right into the room of your choice. Oh, there we go.
So which one, any preference which one I join?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go where you want to go for yourself. That'll be the right one.
Okay. Amazing. Bye.
Thank you. All right, so welcome back. I'm just like to do a little bit of check-in, and then we'll turn it back over to Emily in a minute to kind of show us our platform, and let's sort of talk more specifically about the lab itself. But I wanted to share sort of what emerged for you in your conversation. What did you take from that? What did you experience in that? This is the point where you all flock in and say, yeah, I'd like to go first.
I'll go. Hi. Well, thank you, first of all, David and Emily, for hosting us today. I appreciate it. It was my pleasure today to be in the group of connecting and talking with Colette and Michelle and Emily. And what I got to hear more about what has drawn everyone to this work with the Moment Institute, all the various different ways we've all found our way here. And that was very cool and very interesting. And I got to see, how maybe what we're drawn to or what we're passionate about kind of all overlaps. And I think the most important thing I heard was that, David, people are finding that your work, whether they've come to it recently or they've been with it for a while, they feel grounded with your work, and then it helps them maybe be more present with their clients. And also they can step into wondering more about what their client needs and how they can be there for their clients. So I got to hear about that. So thank you.
Thank you. Would others like to share?
I'll share just briefly. I was in the same
ahead.
group. I'm Colette from Park City, Utah, and it was delightful to see Michelle after many years. David, I think I participated in W. Beck's with you ages ago.
Okay,
one of
you
your
did.
first ones. Yeah.
You did. Yeah.
And I was saying to the group the things that I admired the very most among, a long list of things about your work is the liberation from attachment to outcomes, which is so, I work with physicians at Mayo Clinic. I mean, I have to establish goals and outcomes. I must. And we must, the client and I must establish. But forever, since I've been a coach almost 20 years, I will play that game, but I definitely always know that there's much greater possibility than stated outcomes, and that we are not going to be hindered by outcomes. So it was such a liberation being with you, and that lack of attachment to concrete outcomes and goals. What I loved about this group is, true confession, I saw your email kind of last minute, thought I'd jump on, had an hour this afternoon, didn't really think I needed a group, and then just had this mesmerizing conversation with three fabulous human beings. Michelle, it was so delightful to see you again, and I definitely remember your voice and your story. And really delightful, Emily, to hear of the amazing work you're doing, and Lisa, just in awe of the heavy lifting you've done and are doing, and amazing work in your whole transition. So it was really, I can't think of a better way to spend this past hour. So.
Thank you. How about the other two groups? What did you all end up talking about?
I'll jump in for a bit. We had the incubation group, and what started to emerge was really an environment that we were seeking to incubate, and it was present with us today. And it was palpable for me.
I was in the Incubate group as well, and I really enjoyed the conversations. And Stephanie, I really enjoyed what you were saying, and my mind just did a little pivot, because I'd been thinking about doing it in one way, and listening to you, I thought, okay, there's a really different way of doing this. So I've been thinking of approaching young people in the same model through our women's retreats, that sort of thing. But I really appreciated your comments. Thank you.
I'm reminded of years ago, Sally, I was in Maine at a retreat with a number of students and faculty from my PhD program. And it happened, for any of you who have an OD background, we were meeting in Bethel, Maine, which is the home of organizational development in many ways, because it's the home of the National Training Labs. And I'm thinking of this because one of our adventures was we went canoeing full moon night. And a lot of people had never canoed. A lot of people were a bit panicked even by the whole thing. It wasn't a very fast river, but at one point we tied all the canoes together, and we had one person that was assigned as our emergency outlook. But otherwise, the river was kind of curvy, but flowing, but not rapidy at all. But at one point, we all closed our eyes for about 7 or 8 minutes and canoed with our eyes closed, only being guided by hearing the river. And it was extraordinary. And then we use that as an analogy. What if we worked with our clients like that? And this obsession of I've got a plan, and I've got to execute the plan, and I've got to do all these things. And part of ID was born that day when we were canoeing blindfolded or with eyes closed. That's how we work. So we sense into the field, and we notice these things. And I was going to go this way, but no, I hear the water, and I'm going this way now. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. It was the exercise was one of my contributions to the group as the most accomplished canoer. I was tasked with keeping everybody safe and promising them they weren't going to die. So it was fun. Other observations or reflections?
Hi, David. Hi, everybody. With my group, I was in the group talking about practice. And I think I got 2 mints in one, so to speak, because I also connected on that.
Mm.
And we spoke about practices, what practices work, what don't work, are they needed? There were some insights, some websites, and various, other tools, and talking about our coaching presence, and putting them all together. And a big word that came up was just integrating. How do we integrate and not just have to stick to one way of doing it, yet to integrate with it? And where is our thresholds as coaches, right? And then where does as a coach give ourselves permission to pivot and to and put down those 10 best list of questions, right? And let the field shine. So, I don't know if anybody else has anything to add from my group. Yeah.
Georgiana, the word that I was left with was, yes, integration, but liberation. Just it's very liberating, isn't it? We're kind of giving ourselves permission continuously to just keep doing that. Yeah. So thank you.
All right. So we're doing this pilot for June, and then we'll launch the lab for real in July. So every week we learn new things about and hear new things and reflect on our plans. And so I was in a group of 2 with Bronwyn. So we had a fantastic conversation about the park benches and pivotal moments that we've done and the role those have played in the Institute. And so Bronwyn had some really important insights about what was important to her about that helped us kind of brainstorm some distinctions around how to include that element in the programs going forward. And so it was a wonderful conversation in itself, but it was also very emblematic of what we're all about, which is the ability to pivot in real time to make the lab a better space. And so when we meet next week, Monday, and I'll share this with you, Emily, after we're done, but we're going to create a new room next week. And we have some really great ideas about that, because ultimately, while I'm proud of all the content I've created, ultimately it's the experience people have being with us that's the most powerful piece of all that we do in a way. And so we want to really just highlight that as we go forward. And it's what visitors often report of just, we had 2 women this morning that said, I don't even know these people, and I feel like they're already my best friends. And that's really the nature of the work in itself. So we want to preserve the integrity of that and advance that. And so we'll already, even in the pilot, we're going to make some wonderful changes. So it's good. Thanks to Bronwyn for bringing that up. So I'd like to, in the interest of time, I'd like to just hand this back over to Emily. If you would, any more words you'd like to share, and as a prelude to just giving us a brief guided tour of Circle itself.
Happy to. Thank you, David. Membership in the lab offers what I consider to be, 2 very symbiotic but distinct offers. And one is the live session, which we're in right now. So these happen weekly, 2 times a day. It becomes a nice checkpoint or a check-in every week. You know that it's here, and to the point that David offered earlier is just the quality of this community and the individuals and the hearts that show up here. And that there will be familiar faces and new faces likely each time. So it's a very beautiful amalgam that you can tap into every week in this space. and that this is also an emergent and evolving space. So as we hear, what the needs are, we can continue to offer that within these calls. The other part is the online community, the online learning community, which we are hosting on the Circle platform. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just so you can take a look at it. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to the Threshold Lab as it exists on the Circle platform. And it might look familiar in terms of the interface because it functions very similarly to like a private Facebook group. So when you become a member, you have access to all of the sections that you see here. Right now, the only thing that we have living on our Circle platform is the Threshold Lab. But in the future, as David mentioned, this will be where larger program offerings will be shared. And so we will continue to build out this space with information and feedback that we are getting from the individuals who join us in our pilot program here in the Threshold Lab. So there's an area for discussion. So it's a place to post thoughts or ask questions. And so you can kind of see in here, there's a little bit of a welcome message and some folks who are leaning in and sharing bits about themselves or their hopes for this lab space. You can reply to the main question or to each individual contribution. There is an area here where it says live sessions. And so this is essentially our calendar of events for the lab space. And we have something set up for every Monday between now and the next 6 months, both the AM and the PM session. When you click on one of these, you can kind of see a rough agenda built out. Right now, these are all listed as the same, but as we, build more programming or more people are coming into the lab and say, I'd like to showcase this case story that I did, or I'd love to have a breakout room, to discuss a certain topic. When we know those things with a little bit more advance notice, then we can build those into the agenda listing here. But one of the benefits that I think of us all living in this space together is that you don't have to register for these sessions every week to get the Zoom link. All of that is listed here, and you have the ability to add it to your calendar if you want to, but you don't have to. It could just be a Monday and you have a need to drop in because there's a question on your mind or something on your heart. You could just, really benefit from being in community with us. And so, depending upon what we share here, we may or may not record the session. Obviously, the breakout rooms aren't recorded, but if there was someone who was presenting something that might be in the plenary or large group setting, it might be something that we record and then share the archive back here in this space for members who couldn't attend that portion live. We foresee a kind of a rich library of resources in preparation for these sessions, these open house sessions where we were utilizing the choose your own adventure breakout room feature in Zoom. I just went ahead and found a nice tutorial that talks about that as a function, shows you how to set that up if you're facilitating your own workshops or groups, and how to be able to navigate that space, just so that when we're doing that in our meetings here, that it feels second nature. And that we all know how to navigate in and out. There's a virtual bulletin board. I like to think of this as a take what you need and give what you can space in this community. We really have so much to offer each other. And this gives us a platform to be able to express that in a large way, any kind of requests or questions. And then this was a new thread that I added today, just based upon part of a conversation that we had in the AM session around individuals who already know projects that they want to bring into the lab, that they want to incubate, and to create essentially a thread where we can support each other in that work. You know, at one point, David had provided many of us with a case story guide or you know, a getting started document. I am going to make sure that that's posted here too. So even if you don't have a project in mind, you could kind of maybe see a loose structure or a scaffolding by which you could start to think about something perhaps in your environment or where and how you want to make an impact. With all of our members here, as we have a growing list of folks who have joined in and become members in this space, if you click on their profile, you can see a little bit more about what they've added, about their bio or other places that you can find information about their work, where they're located, and you can start direct messaging folks here in this space. Our vision and our hope is that as the membership grows and as everyone begins to have a voice in what the lab wants to become, that there will be more ways that we can self-organize. You know, personally speaking, as an educator and not a coach, I have a great interest in connecting with people in this community around that as a topic. You know, so there might be others in this space who are interested in education or other sectors or other industry. Maybe there are individuals working in nonprofit who want to gather and have a subgroup. So just know that all of that is possible and it will evolve as we do, as the lab does. I do want to hop over, David, really quickly, just to share this one slide that offers a little bit about, you know, again, what does it mean to become a member? For June, we're offering all of these sessions, these open house sessions, in a bit of a demonstration style to give you an experience of what it's like to be in the lab and you know, be able to hop into a breakout room or group that suits your need for the evening or for the time that you're here. And just in terms of value, we're offering these once a week, but 2 times. So that's 8 sessions that you could likely jump into, you know, if you had the need or the availability. Again, that is the live portion that we're doing now, but you have the full Circle community in Circle, which is what I just demonstrated. And there we have the ability to have those asynchronous conversations and resource sharing, and the ability to support you know, small groups forming around topics or needs. You know, one of the things that you know, was made mention a little bit, but the lab was really designed to offer continuity of community and experience that perhaps was catalyzed elsewhere in and around the Moment Institute. So maybe you found your way to this space from one of David's presentations. Maybe you were at one of his retreats years ago. Maybe you took one of his programs and you remember the richness of the community, and perhaps your interest right now doesn't lie in starting another program, but that you want to have something that feels like a regular touch point. Not so much that, like, if you missed a session or you missed a week, that you felt like you fell behind. I think many of us have so many things going on that perhaps a barrier to, you know, even feeling like you could get involved here in this space would just be like, I have too much going on. But really, the beauty of what we're trying to do here is to provide a space that is always here so that you tap in when you need it, and that we are available on a regular basis and at the same time, same date. You don't have to register every time, so that we're kind of removing obstacles or barriers for you to be able to get what you need or connect with the community. And then on the other side of that, if you've come to this space but think you might be interested in one of the other programs that David has here at the Moment Institute, but those programs don't start into the new year, you know, perhaps you don't want to wait to start to bat around a few of these ideas or ask questions or get connected with other folks who are doing similar work. You know, these are the types of things and connections and resources that we are inviting you to experience with us in the Threshold Lab.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, so we just have a few minutes left. I just want to see if there's any other questions or reflections you have as we bring the session to a close for today. How are you feeling, Michelle?
Good. I'm feeling really good. I'm really thankful for this community and this safe space, and to be able to sit with curiosity with your work, David, with like-minded people. And I'm looking forward to more of 2022.
Glad to hear that, Anne-Marie. That's good. You know, it's like when people feel like they're getting what they need. Sometimes it's fascinating. We don't know what we need until we get it and go, oh, I guess I needed that. Yeah. All right. And so we'll be sending out some emails in the next week or so, just giving you updates about what's evolving in this space, and giving you an opportunity to come join us in July. And if you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us via the website. Happy to talk further, but just really grateful for this opportunity to be able to extend the work this way and sort of usher in sort of a new era for the Institute and for me and for the work. And yeah, thanks to Karen for helping us to host this, and for Emily and all your wonderful ongoing support. So yeah. Oh, and the dogs are back. All right. Be well, my friends, until we see each other again. All right.
If you have the energy or the inspiration, we're doing this again next Monday. It's the same link. Join us.
Have a lovely afternoon, everyone. Morning.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.